From sunny St Leonards on the south coast of the UK, this is the Keto Woman podcast, brought to you by me, Daisy Brackenhall. Hello Keto Lovelies, a very warm welcome to episode number 199. This week we are back with another Keto Foodie Favourites episode, and I'm joined again by the very lovely Dan and Erika from Have Butter Will Travel. This week we are talking about eggs. Who doesn't love eggs? I don't know many people who don't love eggs. I know a few poor souls who can't eat them, because I really wouldn't be without them. Both the dogs and I eat eggs every single day. I have a couple of things to add from the episode. In typical fashion, I couldn't remember a couple of things. I couldn't remember them when we were recording, and I promised to add them in the intro. So this is me doing that. Dan and Erika talk about shakshuka, which is an egg dish that originates in the Middle East and North Africa, and apparently is really, really popular in Australia, and they will see it on all the local breakfast menus. And I said in the episode that I thought about it under a different name, but I couldn't remember what that name was. And it is a dish that I make fairly often. I like to have it with sausages, particularly nice, or as I mentioned in the episode, putting some fried up crispy bits of chorizo in there. Absolutely delicious. But it's one of those things that you can really adapt to suit your own taste. You can spice it up and you can add all sorts of other tasty ingredients. But how do I know it? I know it as eggs in purgatory. And I asked my very good friend Google what the difference was, if there was one. And he told me that basically eggs in purgatory is simply the Italian version of shakshuka. So there you go. They're the same thing. The other thing we talk about is custard and what the difference might be between crème anglaise and custard. Again, Google told me they are basically the same thing. Crème anglaise is French and just means English cream. Now, although they are the same thing, we mentioned in the episode that it might be down to consistency, and I think this point of reference is an experiential thing. So certainly when I was growing up in the UK, pretty well every custard I would have, be it at home or at school or maybe out for dinner somewhere, would be the bird's custard type custard, a custard powder that is just mixed with milk to create a sweetened, thickened, flavoured milk custard, basically. And it was only when you went somewhere pretty posh that you got a real egg custard. There were other dishes that I would have. My mother used to make a fantastic creme brulee and also a baked creme caramel. My grandmother too used to make a particularly delicious version with a lovely dark muscovado sugar. But when it came to custard, it was almost always bird's custard, and a thick custard at that. So a very different thing really from a crème anglaise, which is a proper custard made with eggs. These days, it's much more common to see that proper custard, both in restaurants and in shops, and actually probably in homes too, although I think a lot of people still have a tin of bird's custard powder in their cupboards. What has been going on here? Well, more of the same. I have managed to go swimming a couple of times. There have been issues with the weather and still ongoing problems with pollution, but I have managed to get in a couple of times, and the weather ahead looks clear and sunny. So hopefully that's going to mean that the red flags stay well and truly down. Overall, I have to say that my mood has been improving. I'm not entirely sure what I can credit that to. It might just be the natural ebb and flow of things, or it might be one of the multiple things I've been throwing at the problem. I think I mentioned a while back that I was thinking of starting HRT. I have done that, been on it for best part of a month now. There have been a few adjustment issues. like I was pretty horrified to get a period again after probably a couple of years without them. My good friend Terry Lance, who has a great knack of throwing a more helpful perspective on things, reminded me that periods are a great sign of health, actually. And so that helped me reframe it a little to think about all the possible good things that the reintroduction of estrogen into my system is doing. Still, I can't help feeling a little bit grumpy about having a period again and period pains to go with it. The doctor did say, though, that this is just an adjustment thing and the first 3 or 4 months could be the same, but after that they should hopefully go away again. Fingers crossed, we shall see. But potentially that has been helping with my mood. I have also been working on getting my thyroid medication at the right level. I just did another test a couple of days ago, and it's gone from being a bit too high to not too low, but right down at the bottom of the value range. So I need to go somewhere in between the two, which is a bit of a pain in the bum because I need to basically split one of the tablets in half, only they're not tablets. They're those little casings full of powder. So I'm not entirely sure how to do that. I think maybe I'll do what I did before, and that is to alternate. So one day and not the next. So effectively having a half every day. I know that's not the best way to do it, but it might work. I'll try that for a few weeks and then test again and see where I'm at. So that might be something that's helping. But the third thing I've been doing is taking omega-3 again at a high dose. I found some good tablets that don't give you those fishy burps. If you ever get fishy burps from taking omega-3 oil tablets, that's a very good indicator that what you're swallowing is rancid fish oil, which is not very appealing. The ones I have got, and now I think they're called something like Ultra Omega-3. I can't remember exactly what the name is, but basically they're a higher dose per tablet. So I only actually need to take 2 tablets to get 1,000 EPA every day. So it could be those, or it could be a combination of all 3, plus maybe just the natural ebb and flow. Who knows? I guess I'll just keep doing all of them and hope that I carry on feeling a bit better. What I need to do now is just to build up a bit more of a tolerance to help for when things that happen, things that come along that have always had the tendency to just sort of push me over the edge. You know, when you kind of feel like you live sort of along the edges of a precipice when it comes to depression. And if you're not careful, the slightest thing just pushes you over the edge. So I just need to work on getting a little bit further back from the edge, because I've had some struggles with builders again, of course, and that has the tendency to really throw my mood. So I'm working hard to stop that happening, because I'm damned if they're going to make me feel bad again. As I mentioned last week, I've started working with a woman who knows all there is to know about Potencos. Janine, she has been super helpful, and I've got another appointment with her this weekend to discuss the next stages and protocols to put in place to help with Rocket. He's been on his calming tablets for best part of a week now, and they are actually starting to show signs of working, which is great. He's a little bit more back to his playful self sometimes at home, and seems to be a little more resilient when it comes to flies. He rushed out towards the back door this morning to go out for a pee, and there were some flies just outside the door, so his immediate reaction was to turn tail and go back in, but he desperately needed to pee, so he tried again, and flies, turned around, went back in. But out again he went, and this time he went through, he had a snap at the flies, and then he just bravely pushed on through and went for his pee. So I was very impressed with that. It's a good sign that he's getting a bit braver. He's spending a bit more time out from under the bed, which is also great. And he even decided he wanted to come for a walk this morning. I took just him and Amy for a quick ablutions walk. around the local park that has a nice wide path, so we didn't have to go onto the dangerous territory that is the grass, which is where the flies seem to be if there are any about. I wanted to take him especially out first because Amy and Bets and I were going down to the beach at low tide to meet a friend who has the most handsome grey whippet called Diego. And we had a grand old time. Diego is a young whippet. I think he's 9 months old. And he's quite bouncy and pushy and really gave Amy a run for her money. To start with, she just ran about squealing and yelping because he was a bit pushy for her. But I'm afraid I have no sympathy whatsoever because she was much, much worse with Rocket when he first arrived, and he used to cower, poor boy, when she was trying to play with him. So I told her she just had to get on with it, and it wasn't long before she was giving as good as she got. We had a nice long walk, and all of us really enjoyed it. I think that's about it for the latest of what's been happening with me. So I'll leave you now with the wonderful Dan and Erika, whom I'm sure you know already, but if you don't, you really need to know them, and you can find them at havebutterwilltravel.com or havebutterwilltravel on all the social media platforms. And YouTube. They have a fantastic YouTube channel with all sorts of videos about all sorts of things. So do go and check them out. But for now, let's get started with my chat with Dan and Erika about all things eggs. Welcome back, Dan and Erika from Have Butter Will Travel. Get it in at the beginning this time. Welcome to the Keto Woman podcast. How are you both doing today?
Thank you so much for having us back, Daisy. We're doing really well today.
Thanks for having us.
I very much enjoyed our last episode, and I'm itching to know because I did know what you were going to talk about with the first one, but this one is going to be a complete surprise. So this is another one of our foodie episodes where you talk about one of your favorite ingredients that you like to use, or a keto ingredient that you think should be everybody's staple because it's so fantastic. So what ingredient have you got for us today?
Ooh, well, I feel like this has got to be one of the most versatile ingredients. I'm not talking about cauliflower. I was just thinking of that meme.
Oh, yeah, that's great, isn't it?
Can someone make me this Kinder Surprise out of cauliflower?
Or a cream egg.
That's not what we're talking about. We are talking about eggs.
I mean, you can't get any easier than eggs.
Yeah.
Or more versatile. There's literally so many things you can do starting with an egg. And I think for a lot of people, perhaps when they start keto, it's like the go-to breakfast, right? Eggs, because that seems like an acceptable, I don't know. It's like a standard breakfast that eggs is a good, but I mean, you can have them breakfast, lunch and dinner, in my opinion.
It is one of those things. I could eat a fried egg for breakfast every single day of the week.
I do.
Years. I can. The one thing that I can do myself, like I don't need Erika to help me with it or anything. I can literally just crack 2 or 3 eggs in a pan, and I don't even have to have anything else with it if I'm not like super hungry or needing it to last me a really long time. I will often just do 2 or 3 eggs, salt and pepper, so it's a little bit crispy on the bottom. I probably don't cook the white quite as much as Erika would like. She would flip it.
No, I'm doing the same.
I don't flip it.
Yeah, I have to flip
it.
it.
It has to be cooked.
Yeah.
It's pretty cooked, just not raw.
You're eating jelly, Dan. You're eating jelly.
Yeah, no, I would rather have, and this is probably sacrilege to some people, I would rather have the yolk slightly overcooked than the white undercooked. I can't bear that. It's a bit slimy on the top. Oh, no, I can't do it. No, I have to flip it.
I like my yolk runny,
yes,
but the white has to be cooked.
Absolutely.
That takes priority.
Yep.
The cooked
Same.
white. Whereas Dan's just got a big bit of slime over the top of her egg, and I'm just like, oh, how can you eat that?
Anyway.
Now, so tell me, how do you fry your eggs? What do you fry your eggs in?
I will, if we've got some bacon fat, we usually would store some bacon fat just on the kitchen counter in a little jar. If we've got some of that will go in. If we don't have any, it might be avocado oil,
butter, ghee,
whatever.
She's not fussy.
Whatever is kind of already on the kitchen.
We're but she doesn't have to get out of the, anywhere. If it's on the kitchen bench, that's what she'll use.
Well, we usually do have some form of oil next to the salt and pepper. So there might be, there's always avocado oil there, but there might be butter there, or also pork fat or bacon fat or whatever. And I'll just use whatever is easily for me to grab and put in.
You get a different fry, don't you? I mean, I must admit, I like cooking mine in butter because I like the flavour for the most part. It does tend to spit a lot more with the butter. I guess it's probably...
the water in it, maybe?
Yes, the water and the milk solids, I guess, as they cook, they tend to spit. But I like the flavour. But you get a cleaner fry with something like bacon fat, I find. But yeah, the flavour butter usually wins out for me. So I usually cook mine in butter. And that is something, isn't it weird how often, and I know this isn't the case for everybody, but breakfast foods are the kind of thing that you can eat every day for years and years and years. And not get bored with them. I mean, I've changed it up slightly. Now I'm back in the UK because I really like the sausages here. I like the chipolatas, actually. So I tend to have chipolatas, bacon, fried egg every day. And I look forward to it and I don't get bored with it at all. But you do hear some people saying, "Oh, I'm sick of eggs." I don't get that. Understand
we see that a lot in our Facebook group where people are like, "Oh, I just can't look at another egg." And I'm like, just do it in a different way and you won't even know.
It's strange, isn't it?
But potentially before, do you reckon they were having toast every day or cereal every day? Do you know what I mean? It's funny.
But that's the thing. You quite often ask them, so what did you used to have for breakfast? Cereal every day for 10 years or something. So I don't understand how you can get bored with one thing and not the other. Yes, I don't get it. But I don't know what it is about, because I said in the last episode we recorded, I got bored with burgers, but I don't get bored
with breakfast.
With eggs for breakfast.
Yeah.
I think the eggs for breakfast can be a mindset thing as well, because my mum would see eating like a fry up, like a fried eggs or whatever. That's a weekend thing.
It's also, she would see it as extravagant.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't eat all of that during the week. Like, it's not.
Yes, and I must admit, I have that little sort of rebellious bit in my mind. I get to have it every morning. Because, yes, it was that weekend thing. I mean, partly, I guess, because it takes a bit more time, maybe. Although, I mean, I've got it down to a fine art where I actually cook most of it in the oven. And I'm doing other things at the same time. So it really doesn't take me that long at all.
Yeah. I mean, frying or scrambling an egg, it doesn't take much longer than cooking a piece of toast, in my opinion.
No. I love eggs, and I do. One of the great things, actually, that has happened here, there's a local Eggman, I think he's called, Eggman of Hastings, and I get a tray of eggs delivered to my doorstep every week. Free range, organic eggs. They're fantastic, yes, and cheap too.
And that's awesome.
Easy to get access to.
Yeah,
I'm sure
very
most people in the world can have access to eggs.
And again, budget
and depending
friendly.
on your budget, there's a range.
Yes, absolutely.
So there's, the very cheap eggs that perhaps are slightly less quality, but still a great option. And then you can go up to getting, grass-fed,
organic,
free range, all of those things if your budget allows. And I think another good thing, I mean, we buy them generally at the farmer's market or sometimes at the supermarket, and they usually have a month shelf life on them. So again, something that you can have in the fridge all the time, and whenever you need them, they're there for you.
There's a thing, isn't there, about whether you need to keep them in the fridge or not, and it depends where you live.
Yeah.
Because I know you don't need to keep them in the fridge here. It's something to do with if they've been washed and that protective surface.
So. Yeah, maybe.
Has been
maybe
taken
it depends
off, and you then maybe need to keep them in the fridge.
Right.
Whether they're pasteurized or not. But I mean, I just keep mine out on the counter.
Oh, okay. We've always kept ours in the fridge. I've never even thought about it.
Well, there's so many ways that you can cook them, even if you're just cooking eggs, like not doing anything else with them. You can boil them, you can fry them. Erika makes an awesome scrambled egg.
We like a soft scrambled, not really dry.
And not like you can cut it. It's still quite
oozy.
Oh, you see, that kind of surprises me, because I would have thought, Erika, that you'd
I'm
be
full
like
of surprises.
Yeah, because that whole having to cook the white properly, I'm a bit like that with scrambled eggs. Oh, if they're too soft, I'm a little bit, I'm not sure if it's completely cooked. Yeah, it's funny, isn't
delicious. They're cooked.
Yeah, just.
it? It seemed to depend on the format.
Yes.
Because actually I could take it not knowing it was completely cooked in something like a custard, but I can't take it in scrambled eggs and I can't take it in fried eggs.
Yeah.
So we all have our thresholds, I guess.
So poached, an omelette, or another popular breakfast option is like a shakshuka.
Never heard of that.
So it's like poaching eggs, but in like a tomatoey sauce.
Put like feta cheese in it or goat's
Right.
cheese.
It's
It's kind
very-
of like a very Turkish, Middle Eastern.
You'll find it at every cafe in Australia has avocado toast and some sort of shakshuka. That's very popular.
Oh, interesting. I'm trying to think what I would call it. I call it something else. Oh, that's going to really annoy me. But yes, basically when you have a tomato sauce base
And you kind of
and it
cook
has
the
various
eggs.
things in it.
Yeah.
Then you sort of, I guess it's a combination of poaching, frying really
Yeah.
in the sauce. I quite like it with cook some sort of crispy chorizo first and put that
delicious.
in. That's delicious. And I can't for the life of me remember what I would call it. I call it something different. Don't know. I'll remember at some point and I'll add it into the
2 a.m.
intro
you'll
or
remember.
something. That's right. Absolutely. But so I asked you how you fry your eggs. How do you scramble your eggs? I do mine and I cook mine slowly. I think I watched a Gordon Ramsay video or something. I don't make it exactly like him, but I do it slowly with incorporating lots of butter. I bet you do too.
Yeah, I put butter in. I don't put any, like a lot of people, it's common to put like some milk or water in with the eggs. I don't do that.
Like that. Tends to make it
Yeah,
watery.
I don't do that. I just beat the eggs together with a bit of salt and pepper and then I use butter to cook it in. That's all.
And you'd stir it.
I cook it over a lower heat and I stir it.
Yeah, same. Nice.
Yeah, so you don't let it kind of set. You just keep stirring it so that it doesn't.
Yeah, kind of catch on the bottom.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, and the pan is really painful for Dan to clean. But she likes the scrambled eggs so much that she will clean
Puts up with it.
Well, I will say she has switched to cooking it in the fry pan the last couple of weeks and it's made me very happy.
It's non-stick.
That is one of those things, isn't it? Scrambled eggs cooked in a stick pan, if you like. It's so difficult to get it off. What is it about
like
it?
The world's best adhesive right there.
Do you know? Have you ever cleaned it?
I've seen how much you toil over it there.
Oh, it's all coming out now.
Okay, what about this? 1 egg and some grated cheese. You have a chuffle or a chaffle, however you
Oh,
pronounce
gosh,
it.
of course.
So,
I'd forgotten about those
cook
chaffles.
that in, cook it in the waffle. So you mix together a beaten egg and some grated cheese, pop it in a waffle maker and you end up with a chaffle. Or you could beat together an egg with some cream cheese and then you could cook it in a pan. You'll have like a pancake. Also, we love frittata or crustless quiche, and you can literally use whatever veggies or meat you have left over, like ham, bacon, whatever, mushies, onions, whatever you have.
That's mushrooms for people who don't cook and everything like Australians.
Bit of cheese on, beat your eggs together. You can use however many eggs you need to fill your baking dish, cheese on top, and then bake it in the oven. And that is just such a perfect lunch for during the week to go for breakfast. You can eat it hot, you can eat it room temperature, cold, whatever you like. It's such a versatile thing, a frittata.
You will quite often make like a use up what's in the fridge frittata at the end of the week. So Sunday night, Erika might just kind of go through the fridge and go, oh, these are like on their last legs. We'll just kind of put all that in a frittata and then I've got lunch ready to go for the week.
Yes, it's a great thing, that, isn't it, to just make up. It doesn't even take that much time to make it, but then you've really got something you can grab and go with. I've actually found also that it does freeze very well. If you were to make quite a lot, I mean, usually it's the kind of thing that you can keep in the fridge for quite a few days. It's going to be fine. But I have tried freezing it.
Yeah.
And it works okay.
Yeah, definitely. And then I guess eggs are really great for like thickening or emulsifying. So we love making a mayo using eggs as the base, or we also have like a stick blender version of a hollandaise sauce. So it's like super quick and easy to make, and you're just using the egg to emulsify the butter into like a creamy sauce. And for thickening, we love using a custard, like making a custard with egg yolks and cream. Delicious.
You should, if you aren't making your own mayo, you 100% should be making your own mayo. It's so easy to do. One, you can control the fat. So, you know that you're putting in avocado oil or olive oil, whatever is your favorite. And it's so good.
The trouble I had with this in France was that I couldn't get a light tasting oil.
Yes.
It needs
that
to
wasn't
be light
hideously
tasting.
expensive.
Yeah.
It absolutely has to. So I could have made it with olive oil, but there was no olive oil that wasn't sort of extra virgin olive oil. So too strong tasting. Yeah. Even avocado oil, if I could find it, was hideously expensive. Like, I mean, the mayonnaise would have ended up just, you might as well have made it from gold dust. It would be so expensive. And also, again, was like a sort of virgin type, so too flavoursome. But yes, I have been able to make it. So you couldn't find a good oil to make it with. The very best I could find was, a peanut groundnut oil, which is not, that was the best of a bad selection if I wanted a non-flavoured oil. But now I'm in the UK, I think I use probably your favourite. Do you use avocado or light tasting olive oil? But
the avocado oil from Costco in Australia, and it's the same one that you can get in the US Costco's.
Ah, right.
I think it's
Chosen Foods.
Oh, Chosen Foods.
Chosen Foods.
It is the best avocado oil.
But it's very pale and quite
loose.
Runny.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, we have one you can get in the supermarket, but it's quite dark green and really thick. And again, it's similar to the extra virgin olive oil, where it's like, that's all you get. Really punches you in the face, and it's not a pleasant flavor at all.
No, because you want to be able to taste the egg in mayonnaise, don't you?
Yeah.
The oil has to take second place. No, the only thing I found is the light tasting olive oil. Avocado oil I haven't found. Maybe it would be available in the Costco, but I don't have one of those near me. But yes, I made it with the light tasting olive oil, and it's been perfect. And you're right, I would never go back now to shop bought mayonnaise. Now I'm able to make it with a light tasting and not going to break the bank oil.
Because we don't have in Australia, like at the supermarket, we don't have any options that aren't made with vegetable oils.
There is one here, actually. I think the brand is something like Hunter and something, and it's an avocado mayonnaise, but tiny little jar, about £4.50 or something. So it's delicious, but very, very expensive.
Yeah. Well, that was all I had on my little list. I've still got our top 5 recipes, but are there any other ways that you like to eat eggs that we haven't covered?
I'm trying to think. No, I think you've pretty well covered. Oh, I guess the only other time that I would use them maybe in a slightly different way is if I'm making something like an egg fried rice. And there are kind of 2 ways you could. Some people like to throw the egg in and more sort of incorporate it and coat the rice. So, we're talking about cauliflower rice here, of course, in the way we like to eat. And I think it might have been my stepmother who taught me this, was to beat up an egg and make a very thin omelette, basically. So you make it in the wok and you sort of swirl it round so it's very, very thin, and then you flip it out, roll it up, slice it up, so you get these sort of shredded, very fine omelette that gets thrown in at the last minute. So that's the only sort of slightly different way I can think of using eggs in a recipe.
I like it doing that the omelette way in Asian.
I do too.
Yeah. Okay. Our top 5 recipes.
Right.
Go, Dan.
Okay, I'm going first because this is delicious. An egg loaf. So we have a blueberry egg loaf recipe, and it's kind of almost like French toast. Now, it's eggy. People always say Is it eggy? Yes, because it's got eggs in it.
It's made basically from
But French toast
Erika
is eggy, isn't it? You'd expect that from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Erica makes it in a bundt tin and then slices it up, and it's actually better to, again, kind of sit it in the fridge.
Mm-hmm.
The next day, fry a slice in butter or something in a pan.
Ooh.
Flip it over. You can even serve it with bacon and sugar-free maple syrup or something, and it is like French toast. It's delicious.
That sounds good.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the cream cheese pancake recipe, just baked in a tin instead of cooking each one separately. But yeah, it is delicious. Highly recommend our blueberry egg loaf. Another awesome recipe that we have, it's a taco omelette. So actually how we make the omelette is sprinkle cheese over the base of the pan first and then cook your omelette on top of it. And the omelette gets a crispy outside coating, like you can actually kind of tap it, and then pop your taco mince inside the omelette. So you have like the cheesy outer coating, which is all crunchy. Then you have your egg omelette kind of on the inside, and then the taco mince inside again. It's delicious.
Next up, we have creamy baked eggs. So it's a similar thing to the shakshuka, but it's using cream as the base instead of like a tomatoey sauce base. It's so creamy, but it's like poaching the eggs in cream.
Yeah, delicious. And you end up with the kind of runny yolk and the cream all mixes together. It's yummy. You need almost a spoon to eat.
Delicious. I remember seeing actually a post about the different ways of frying eggs. And the one I was interested in, which I meant to try and I never did, was to fry them in cream.
Interesting.
It sounded quite interesting. So it sounds, well, not quite the same as that, but yeah, maybe a similar end result. They said it was this, lovely, tasty, unctuous.
One of the first recipes we actually had on our website when we started it many moons ago was a vanilla custard using egg yolks.
Can't beat it.
Egg yolks, some cream, some sweetener and some vanilla. I guess it's probably, you would say it's more like a creme anglaise. Is that what you would call it? It's not a thick custard, but it's thick enough, and it's delicious. Especially I like it cold out of the fridge. I don't like it hot, but it's super yummy, and like just a couple of berries or something, perfect little dessert.
Yes, I'm not sure what the difference is actually between custard and creme anglaise. I think it might just be the consistency.
Yeah, some people are used to custard being kind of what you get
gloopy,
in that
like
kind of carton at the supermarket, and it is quite thick. This is much thinner than that, but still absolutely delicious.
Well, I always used to like custard. I mean, we used to make that, that bird's custard powder when I was a kid. And I used to always prefer it on the thicker side, and particularly when the skin formed on the top. That was my favourite bit.
Reminds me of Christmas.
That's got a nice story, actually. I don't know do you know the story behind bird's custard powder? It was invented by a guy whose wife was allergic to eggs. And I apologise for people listening to this episode who can't eat eggs.
Yes.
I really feel for you. And some people, of course, don't like eggs.
Yeah,
yes, it would. But she couldn't eat eggs, and he wanted for her to be able to have custard. I'm sure I'm messing up the story a bit, but the basis is there. So he invented something that would make custard, which is basically just a vanilla flavored corn flour. That's all it is. I've actually made it when I haven't had bird's custard powder back in France when I was still eating those kind of things. I've sort of bodged it with some vanilla and corn flour. Yeah, so you're basically just thickening milk and sweetening it. So yes, but I always thought that was kind of quite a nice story for how the product came into being. But yes, I love custard, and it's one of those things that's very easy to keto-fy actually, because all the ingredients apart from the sweetener.
Yeah, for sure.
And I find, I don't know about you, but I find, this is going off on a tangent, we'll probably be talking about sweeteners another time, but sometimes they have a hollow feeling to them taste-wise. I don't know how else to describe it, but sometimes when you're making especially a sort of carby alternative. And it just tastes, the only way I can describe it is kind of hollow with sweetener. But I find when it's in fat, in ice cream, in custard, in cheesecake, it doesn't tend to have that feeling. So there's something magical that happens with the fat, I think, to take that away.
We've got one more on our list, and this is another thing that you would find on every single cafe menu in Australia, and that is eggs Benedict.
Ah, yes. Yum.
It's eggs on eggs.
Hollandaise, poached eggs. That's my go-to when we go out for breakfast. I just say no toast. It's very easy to order. I'd prefer it with bacon or ham rather than you can get it with smoked salmon.
I find that a bit sickly with the smoked salmon, but I do like Florentine. Very, very I love it with the spinach.
The spinach, So, yes, eggs Benedict, you can make it at home, but it is one of my go-tos when we're out because poached eggs is easier to get when you're out and the hollandaise sauce is delicious.
Yeah, we don't bother making poached eggs much at home. We're not that great with poached eggs.
I'm not either. The only trick that I found where poached eggs will work every time is if they're really, really fresh. So if you can get, the only time I've managed to make perfect poached eggs was when I had my own chickens and eggs. And so, it had literally been laid that morning or something, and you can drop them in and they make perfect poached eggs. But I've never managed to perfect it otherwise. I end up with a sort of the yolk kind of cooked with a tiny bit of white left around. The rest of the white is just swirling all over the place.
So that is our top 5 egg recipes.
I'm most excited by the first one. I definitely want to try that.
Blueberry egg yolk.
Right.
That sounds very good. I particularly like the frying it in butter later bit.
You have to have a drizzle of sugar-free maple syrup on top.
And what's your favourite? What's your favourite way to have eggs?
My favourite way to have eggs is fried, always.
Yeah, mine's probably scrambled. Probably my favorite way, but I like them all different ways. And I think the good thing about them is you can have, they're just so versatile, because I'll happily have, with boiled eggs, egg and mayo or egg salad, like they call it in the US. That's probably one of my favorite kind of lunch options, more so than having them for breakfast. But yeah, I think I could eat them a lot because they're so versatile. And
it's very popular. Is it deviled eggs when you have the hard-boiled eggs and you take the yolk out and you mix it with things and you put it back in? That's really, really popular in the US in particular, isn't it?
Yes, for sure.
Delicious. Yes, well, another one of my favourites. I couldn't be without eggs. We all eat eggs here. My dogs eat raw now, and they have an egg each for breakfast as well. And I have eggs every day. I do switch a bit. I was bacon and scrambled eggs for a long time was my breakfast in France, but the different bacon and the sausages that are very available here have swung me back to fried eggs.
Nice.
But lovely. Yes, every day. Delicious. Always look forward to my breakfast. Well, thank you very much. Another great episode. Dan, it's your turn this time for a top tip, please.
I've just been thinking about that for the last 10 minutes. So what I think is don't get caught up in feeling like you've got to have versatility all the time in your diet. I think marketing has kind of put it in our heads that we've always got to have something different all the time. And that kind of stems back into the Daisy eats eggs for breakfast every day. I could eat eggs for breakfast every day. And you kind of think, oh my God, I had eggs for breakfast for 5 days. I shouldn't be eating eggs again. You can definitely eat eggs for breakfast every day. It's not going to cause any problems for you. And they are full of flavor and absolutely delicious. So not even just eggs, but don't feel like you've got to have massive variety in your diet all the time.
Yeah, or cook complicated recipes or something. It can be as simple as fried eggs.
Yes, and they really are a perfect, nutritious little packet of food, aren't they? Yes, you have to go a long way to beat eggs. Well, or you can beat eggs and turn them into something else, of course. Well, thank you very much. People probably do know where to find you now. We will put links in the show notes, but havebutterwilltravel.com. And you're on all the social media platforms. Well, I say all the social media platforms. You Facebook and Instagram.
Yep.
And YouTube.
Definitely come over and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do loads of keto recipes. We do product reviews, grocery hauls. Also just hang out with us for the day. See what we eat. Dad's always got something going in her backyard smoker.
Yeah. That looks very exciting. I like the look of that. And yes, there are all sorts of goodies. There are cookbooks available too. So I will put the links in the show notes so people find it really easy to find you and them. Well, thank you very much, you two. It's been a great pleasure as always. Thank you for sharing such fabulous and interesting information. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for having us. We hope we can come back. So if anyone wants us to talk about a certain food or, topic or question, that would be fun.
Perfect. I'd love that. And yes, I'm laughing at which one of the cats is that?
Scout. Yeah.
She looks like she's trying to take your picture frame down.
or kill us.
That's the way she tells us she's ready for her dinner.
Yes.
I see. Yes. Mimi was annoying me greatly. She likes to sit on the work surface in the kitchen and just flick everything she can find onto the floor. Why do cats behave like that? Just annoying a-holes.
Exactly.
Okay, well, you better go and feed your cats before they start destroying the place. Thanks again, Dan and Erika.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for staying with me right to the very end. I hope you enjoyed our chat. What do you think about some of these new episode format ideas? Are you enjoying them? I hope so. Certainly the feedback I've had already has been a resounding positive, and I've really been enjoying shaking things up and doing something a bit different. This week, of course, we were talking about eggs, so I thought I'd have a look for an end quote that was all about eggs. And actually it turned out to be a very entertaining read. There were all sorts to choose from, and it was a bit of a difficult choice to pick just one. But I did, and it's from Bernard Meltz. A true friend is someone who thinks you are a good egg, even though he knows you are slightly cracked. Until next time, please take very good care, and I will see you soon. Bye-bye, Keto Lovelies.